Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. I'm also here to talk about solutions and ways to get protection here in the United States. And I wanted to start with this. So one of the things that my law firm is known for is the fact that we take cases from individuals who thought they had no other options. Many of our clients thought they had no other options, and they were even told by other attorneys that they had no options. Usually, the line that they would get from another attorney is, you need to go find a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or you need to get married. All right, so I'm seeing here on Instagram, so I'm seeing it's not clear. So I'm going to end the Instagram and let's fix that. Let's see if we can get it fixed. I'm not sure if we can. Let's see if we can do it on the phone. Okay, so I'm just fixing an Instagram issue. Let's see if that can work. Okay. And let me. Okay. So I went ahead and I'm setting up on Instagram. Hello there on Instagram. I hope you can hear me now. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments. So what I want to do though is tell you how that is, right? How is it that we're able to hide on Instagram? So and I hope I'm clear now. I hope I'm clear. But how is it we're able to do that? How is it that we're able to win cases for our clients that thought they had no other options? And that is because it's not because we do the impossible. We do make sure we fight for our clients, we advocate for our clients, we are persistent, and we persevere. Even if the case is difficult, we persevere. But what you need to know is we ask the right questions. In order to know whether you have options, we ask the right questions. And a lot of attorneys, first of all, I have been told I am a unicorn because not many attorneys do this. Not many attorneys seek the alternative options available to immigrants. It's either marriage-based, family-based, or employment-based, but they don't, a lot of attorneys, and maybe asylum, but attorneys don't look at other circumstances. I mean, you do have some, but it's rare that other attorneys will start asking questions about past experiences. What have you been through? What have you been through with family members? What have you been through with prior employers? That does open the door to figure out alternative solutions for our clients to get them the relief that they need. And that's because here at the law firm, we're client-centric. We focus on you and how the solution is going to fit your needs legally. And so that is what distinguishes what we do and how we're able to reach people that do need the help that have not been able to access the help. So I'm going to talk to you about one scenario that you may not have thought about that can possibly qualify you for relief. And that is, I'm going to give you an example. So that is where, so I call it the Cinderella situation. And of course, if you know the story of Cinderella, you know where I'm going with this, right? So Cinderella, she was the daughter of, I believe, a wealthy man who got married to a woman who became her stepmother. And the woman had two daughters for herself. And when her father fell ill and died, the stepmother found that as an opportunity to not treat Cinderella as her own, but instead to abuse Cinderella and put her to work. So Cinderella basically became like a maid, and she just had to start working in the house, right? If you know that, you know this story. It's very popular. So she was abused, put to work, not really given freedom to do anything else but that. And she did it unwillingly. Cinderella didn't want to live that life, but she felt like she had no choice because her stepmother was the only person she really knew as her protector, right next to her father. And now he was gone, so she's stuck in this situation, unable to escape. And then, of course, the way she escapes is she meets the prince, and the prince marries her, and she gets out of the situation. And, that's basically how she escapes, right? Wasn't a situation where soldiers came in and arrested the stepmother. It wasn't a situation where she was discovered in a basement tied up. She just ended up leaving because she found the prince and they got married. This unfortunately, this happens in real life. And my clients have gone through this, and they have gotten the T visa as a result of experiences like this. And what you just heard is trafficking. What Cinderella went through was a form of labor trafficking. Yes, you can be trafficked by a relative, an aunt, a parent, a spouse. You can be trafficked by these people. And a lot of people don't know this. They think that they go through situations like this and they have to bury it deep because there's nothing that can be done about it. And that's wrong. And so those are the questions that we ask our clients. We ask our clients what they've been through. We want to know about their life. And because of that, they are able to get the relief, right? So I'll give you an example, a real life example now, not Cinderella, but a real life example where my client, called me about a completely different situation, just trying to figure out her options. And we got into that conversation because it turned out the option she was thinking about was not really the option. And I got into what happened in her background, and the fact that she missed out on college. She really, when she came here intending to graduate the last year of high school and go to college, because that was the promise that her relative made to her and her mother. So she came here as a teenager, under 18, and thought she was coming to the assistance of her aunt, who would put her through college and give her the opportunities that were promised. Unfortunately, that was not the case. She was put to work. She was turned into the housekeeper. She was turned into the nanny. She was mistreated. It even got to a point where her important documents were held and her movements were restricted. I mean, yes, she went to high school, but when it came to college, she didn't go to college, and she was not allowed to do much else, right? So she had to stay in the home and unwillingly do all the chores, and basically cater to the needs of her relative. My client, years later, my client moved on, right? My client escaped the situation, by the oppressive situation, by bravely packing up as a young person, packing up and just escaping, leaving. She built a life but built a life without any kind of protection because she didn't know how. And when we got to talking about this, it became very clear that she qualified based on something that happened years ago. She qualified for the T status. She's protected. Her family is protected now because of this, right? Because she and her spouse now have their papers, right? And she didn't have to do things like compromise her values or compromise her family to do things like go get married, right? Because we have people, even other attorneys, saying just go find somebody to go get married to, right? And no, she did it her way on her terms, and she's protected. Her family is protected. So if you can relate to a situation like this, and I'm going to put this generally, it's not just relatives, it could be anybody that does this to you. If anybody did this to you, no matter how long ago, whether it was yesterday or 20 years ago or 30 years ago, if you were subjected to a situation like this and you thought you had to sit in silence, bury this experience because there's nothing that can be done about it, I can tell you that that's not the case. You can get relief for things like this. And it's happening. We, as I said before, we have been getting approvals for our clients, right? So this is not dead. No, this relief is not gone. It is alive and well, and we are still, our mail room is still processing mail like crazy. So things are still continuing, and this is where you should not miss out on any opportunity for us to help you figure out your options, because it is there. It's there, and I just want you to do it at the right time, right? When something, we want to avoid complexities, and now is the time. Now is the time to pursue any kind of relief, right? So if you're in a situation where somebody makes you do something that you would not have normally done, but because of what they did, you feel forced to do it, it's time to give us a call, right? And then we can talk more about it. I know that sounds really general, right? But that's because even the action of the person that makes you do something, it varies. They don't have to physically abuse you. They don't have to, it can be psychological, right? It could be something as simple as, too bad you can't leave the house because ICE is gonna get you, right? And just by saying things like that in your presence, you have a fear. If you're working, for example, a lot of these caretaking facilities or group homes, assisted living facilities, it is very common for them to end up trafficking immigrants because they take them in, they either recruit them from their country or they recruit them right when you're right here in the US. They recruit you, say, come work, give you some papers or we'll give you good salary. And it's a live-in job usually. And then when they get you there, that's where they trap you. They trap you by overworking you. So where you thought you would have been doing 12-hour shifts and you would have gotten the nights, you're finding out that you have to be on call 24/7, waking up in the middle of the night. You didn't sign up for that, right? And I know I'm talking to people who are going through this because it is so common. You may, now you're ready to leave, maybe for your day off, but you're waiting for your pay. So you have to keep working until you get your pay, right? But they're always late on your pay, or they withheld a portion of it, saying, okay, you only get this portion if when you leave. That keeps you from leaving because now you have to work some more to gain back that money that they are withholding. These are all examples of labor trafficking. Now, if you notice, not once did I say that somebody not once did I say somebody was physically violated, right? All of that is based on the fact that they are being coerced in a non-violent way, right? So it's very important to know that these situations do present options for you to get relief here. So this is where I'm going to leave it to you to seek legal advice. By the first thing we do is we do a free initial evaluation, and that helps us to give you an evaluation, decide whether it appears as if you can we can help you with an option, and then we get straight into strategy. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to answer some questions. Go ahead and put the questions in the comments, and I will go ahead and answer those questions. All right, let's see. I see a ton of questions coming in on TikTok. So let's go ahead and answer. Marriage status adjustment, biometrics 1 month ago, got my work permit approved. Is my case fast? It's great. Congratulations on your approved work permit. Let's hope so, but now they are doing interviews, so that might be the hold up. Right now, I'd say expect at least a year. I lost my green card and I filled a file to replace it, but it takes forever. How is that process like? Yes, about a year and a half to 2 years. Is my EAD pass e-verify? If my AOS gets denied, it's unlikely. So if your AOS gets denied, that's the adjustment of status, it means that it's going to invalidate your work permit. And once it invalidates your work permit, it means that when they run, and if you do I-9 and they run it through the e-verify, they're going to find that it's not going to work. So it's going to show as invalid. I went to my interview and my I-130 was approved after my interview, but I-45 still pending. So there may be something else that they need, or they're looking into something. Contact them to find out what the status of your case is. You have to contact them directly. How long should EAD be approved after biometrics? I don't really count after biometrics. I count after date of filing, and it also depends on your case type. Marriage-based, family-based, employment-based, 3 to 6 months. VAWA, 6 to 12 months. Hi there, Anna Mas. It's nice to see you. Hi, can I ask how long should I answer that? Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the love. Keep tapping the screen. That's how people know that this information, you can spread the information so people understand there's information out there that can empower them, that I can serve as a resource for information. So keep tapping that screen, share the live, subscribe, follow, like, subscribe. That's how we spread the word to make sure people can get access to information. All right. Okay, let's see. Can I travel with 2-year valid green card? My short answer is yes. You have the right to travel. My long answer is going to be don't travel until you fully understand the risk involved. Even US citizens are being detained right now. You know, they're doing raids on houses. I just saw on the news today that they raided the home of US citizens, traumatizing them, taking their money, their laptop phones. So if the US citizens are facing this, can you imagine having a green card and you don't understand? Maybe you have something in your background that puts you at an increased risk, and you leave to come back, and now they're putting you through a stressful process. So understand at a minimum, but make sure you are fully aware of all the risk factors involved. I have said in the past, I've talked about some of those risk factors. Past arrest record, no matter how minor it is, no matter how long ago it was, no matter if it was expunged, that puts you at an increased risk. If you're going from the 2-year to the 10-year and you're applying for waiver, right, without your spouse, you need to be careful. If you've ever traveled outside of the US for more than 6 months on a green card, you need to be very careful. Um, those are some of the risk factors right now that we're seeing. So I would say short answer, yes, you can travel. Long answer, you just want to make sure that you are not one of those that are going to face an increased risk of being, you know, put through additional security issues at the airports. All right. Let's see. After winning asylum, can I file for a green card before a year? So if you, under certain circumstances, so what it's based on is you have continuous presence for at least a year and you've been approved for your green card for a year. So right now, I would say that's the guidelines you have to go by. I know that there were some policy changes based on continuous presence, but I would have to look further at those just to verify whether it does allow for early application. Can I travel with the 2-year green card? Yes, but make sure you understand your risks, that you have to get legal advice for that. Can I ask, how long should EAD be approved after biometrics? I answered that. Is it safe to fly domestic if you only have a USCIS receipt and already did biometrics? A USCIS receipt is not going to allow you to travel, and that does not necessarily offer you protection. A USCIS receipt can be helpful because it can, for example, if you're in a raid and you're forced to provide information like this, then sometimes it can lead to your release because it shows you're going through a legal process. But for traveling, it's not going to allow you to travel with a USCIS receipt. How can I get my work permit expedited after submitting my VAWA case? So what we usually do is we have to use the channels. So we do have a VAWA hotline available to attorneys, and that's where we submit our expedite requests. And then we have to, of course, show why it's justified. Is there an urgent medical or humanitarian need? Was there an error that justifies an expedite of the work permit? Do you belong to a certain category of professions that allow this? So some healthcare, working in healthcare and childcare can be professions that if you have the employer write a letter saying, they do have an urgent need for your skill, that can help to expedite your application as well. So I answered that. If you want to switch your immigration lawyer, it is definitely within your right to change lawyers, of course, and you would have to speak to your current attorney about terminating the representation, and resolve any responsibilities or billing issues that you have, and deal with the terms of the retainer agreement. But it is totally within your right to terminate one attorney and retain another. How long does work permit take after filing for a T? So right now we're seeing, I would say upon approval, you're definitely getting a work permit. And that's going to be 12 to 18 months. But in between, there has been policy changes as of August last year that allows you first to get a bona fide and then they process. So bona fides are taking about 90 days. And then after that, then the work permits are being processed at about 3 to 6 months. What if I missed my asylum court date because I didn't know? then you'd probably have to submit a motion to reopen based on the fact that you were unaware of the court date. You definitely need to talk to an attorney to make sure you understand the procedural requirements to get that done ASAP. What is the next move after getting annoyed? Respond to that annoyed ASAP. Now, here's this. Here's what I want. So annoyed is a notice of intent to deny. It's your case is not denied, right? So don't think this is a denial letter. It's saying though, we're giving you a chance. We sort of see where you can get, convince us otherwise. We're going to give you the chance to convince us that you do indeed qualify. And so usually you're given 30 days to then respond respond to, they usually lay out the reasons why they're going to deny, and then you have to respond with information that's going to help get your case back on track to an approval. It's urgent though. So this is where you definitely need to get legal advice. This is where we really pull out our tools, and we have to get to work to address whatever concerns the immigration office has or whatever evidence they're giving us, saying that they have to deny. We have to really dig in and make sure we're looking at all our resources, legal resources, to be able to get that case turned around. So it's urgent. Thanks for sharing the live, Betty. What if someone filed a friend paperwork? She did fingerprints and only to I'm not sure what the rest of that is. I'm not sure. What is the next move? So the Noid, I talked about the Noid. Okay. All right. So now I'm on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, so for a friend, came in J1, no two years residence, required, received, subsequently TPS. Is TPS considered valid? Okay, is TPS considered valid status if married to a green card holder? Can he or she adjust status? So TPS does not mean that you're granted, you have official status. They're still going to look at the way you entered, which you have a visa, but you still are restricted from going through your green card holder spouse, because it sounds like you may have your friend may have overstayed the 2-year, the J1, not the 2-year, the J1 visa. So if they overstayed the visa, then it means that they're unable to adjust until the green card holder spouse becomes a citizen. Then they can adjust, whether they have TPS or not. Hi there. Okay, so the number's going across the screen. So just if you want to call, you can call now. We have 24-hour answering. So go ahead, give us a call, and then we can get you started on the initial evaluation. How are you doing? I have an immigration problem. I just need your help. Definitely give us a call. That's going to be the first step for us to be able to help you. So give us a call. Why is everybody receiving RFEs for using 40 work credit? So I don't know if everybody, but what happens is if you have an affidavit of support, or you did not meet the affidavit of support requirements, then they tell you have to either get a joint sponsor or show that you have that work credit. You have the 40 hours, or I'm not sure if it's 40 hours, but you have a certain amount of work credit to be able to be exempt from the affidavit of support. So I think that's, I don't know if you're referring to something else, but I believe that's what you're talking about. My dad got deported and I'm a USA citizen. Can I bring him back? What should I file? It's possible, but we have to, becomes more complicated because once he's deported, he may be barred for a certain number of years, and it depends on the reason for the deportation. So this is where you definitely have to get in touch with us, give us a call, and then we can work towards getting him back. It might take, possible waivers, permission to apply for re-entry in order to get him back. But we have to start with getting those facts. Do you have to file 3 consecutive with your spouse to be able to file for citizenship at the 3-year mark? I think you mean tax returns. You should be filing your taxes, whether you do it with your spouse, not necessarily. They may raise questions about whether you do live with your spouse. If you don't do it as joint, filing jointly with your spouse. They may have questions, but sometimes people do it for tax purposes. It may not be advantageous to file with your spouse, so you file separately. So what matters is legally, did you file your taxes? Okay, on YouTube, are you hearing me? Because I'm thinking, audio is bad, breaking up. Okay, so I'm going to come out of YouTube and come back because I think the audio is bad all across. So bear with me. I'm coming back in a quick minute. So I'm going to come out and start over.